Okay, so, but, no, because it's a New York story, and it's a great thing that happened. So, the great Seymour Stein ran Sire Records out of New York. That's right. He signed Patti Smith, and he signed the Talking Heads and the Ramones and the Donna. And but before that, as I said, I was a fan of the girl groups, and he'd worked with the Shangri-Las, and on Broadway he ran Redbird Records. So I was a big 60s. I knew about Seymour from the 60s. Anyway, the story of this guitar is that when the Smiths were playing at the ICA concert in, I guess, '83, he came over. He was very interested in signing us, and we were thrilled that Seymour Stein, we were going to sign the Sire. So I would have paid him, right, to be signed. And he took us to dinner before we played at the ICA, and he was a great talker. And I asked him about his time hanging out in the 60s with the Rolling Stones, and he made the mistake of mentioning that he brought Brian Jones to a guitar shop and bought him a guitar in the 60s. So I said to him, Seymour, I saw my chance there. I said, if you buy me a guitar, we'll sign to sign. I had my pen in my hand ready. And he said, okay. So obviously we were going to sign anyway. So we first came over to America. First time the Smiths came over was the day before New Year's Eve, it was '83, about to be '84. And so we played at the Danceteria on New Year's Eve, just a very short set, and then New Year's Day. And then on the 2nd of January, we went over to Warner Brothers Records in New York, and we signed the deal probably about 11 a.m. And then I waited around the offices till 5 or 6. He wasn't going to get out of that building without me taking him to 48th Street. And to his credit, we went over to 48th Street to a shop called We Buy Guitars, which I believe now is like a Hard Rock or something. And I saw that. It was a coincidence that it was the most expensive guitar in the shop. I just realised that. But it was just the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. And what you were saying, Jen, about guitars having songs in them is entirely accurate, if you're lucky. So I got the guitar, I played a couple of chords on it, and I got it, and then I walked back to the Iroquois Hotel in the snow, and then I took the guitar out of the case, and the very first thing I did was this. So, you know, that kind of paid for itself that day. Because the way I was a songwriter and I was a band animal, I was really excited. I thought, I'll take that to the band. I honestly, I didn't even know I knew those chords. That's the truth of it. The guitar made me do it, you know. It's like, you have all this. I talk about all this stuff in the book for people who are guitar players, and I just took upon that people are smart enough or they may be interested enough to understand this stuff. But You have all this associative memories that, or stuff. So maybe because it looked like a jazz guitar, or maybe because it felt a certain way, I might have just gone to that place. But it definitely had that song inside it. And I thought, oh great, okay, that'll be the band's next single. And then the very next thing, I was like, hey, this is fun. And then the very next thing was that's a good start for a song.
Broken chords, fragments of chords, just notes here and there. Where did that come from? Did that come from that year woodshedding at home?
Yeah, it came from being in the bedroom, and it came from, it also came from the bands that I was in just before I formed the Smiths. One of the things that I've realised in doing the book was that I left school at 15 to be in a band with adults. My parents weren't very happy. I still think they weren't very happy about it. They're still waiting for me to be a Catholic priest, but guitar playing priest, I like that playing guitar. But anyway, I left school being a band with adults, and then I was bouncing around in different bands learning to play. And the funny thing is that we took it seriously, and Andy was always in those bands with me, Andy Raw, and we played in school halls. And we played in youth clubs. We didn't play like, well, when I read about these American bands, particularly played the dances in the 60s, you know, they had all their equipment and people with. We played to like in these little school halls, and there'd be like 11 of my friends, and they were a really tough crowd. And they started off just what we call taking the piss, right? Just, what? Oh, who do you think you are? And all this. But by about the fourth or fifth time we appeared, they started to go, oh, that's kind of a good one, I like that one. And it tended to be the songs that I was writing myself, really. And that bit in Girl Afraid, actually, that was from the Paris Valentino song I realised years later. And that was like a power pop band, and not really a million miles away from what I'm doing with my own band. Now I was the front man. And anyway, the point is that that kind of playing, when you're playing in front of your pals, you kind of iron out a lot of the things you don't think are cool, because you just kind of don't, you stop going there. And so it was a combination of things that I was sort of starting to develop in those little bands before the Smiths, and then that year in the bedroom, very deliberately, just getting rid of stuff that didn't feel like me. I wanted to impress my mates, and I wanted to also at the same time play like my feelings. That was a good thing about being solitary, being on my own, because I'm a very, fairly sociable person, but playing the guitar like this to this day, it gives me an opportunity to be reflective and go inwards, you know, because a lot of the music I've made, not just with the Smiths, with Pet Shop Boys and other bands, is really pretty reflective, sad stuff. It's not all this charming man, you know.
Interestingly, because you've been with Angie since you were 15, you were not playing to impress women, except for her maybe. So do the math on that one, the absence of power chords and riffs.
Yeah, she,